Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, I wanted to do a video. Guys, yesterday I did a video about Kell Brook. Today I want to do a video about Amir Khan. Guys, you know what? Like, it looks to me, or the noise that's coming out is that Amir Khan obviously wants to continue fighting. And I obviously have given my thoughts about this, but Amir Khan right now seems to be enjoying himself. He's meeting up with like other celebrities and having fun and enjoying his life. He bought himself a good Lamborghini after the Brook fight, you know, and he's always been like that, you know. After, you know, I think at a certain point in his career he became that type of guy where he went to a lot of events and stuff, and he became kind of more like an influencer, so to speak. But he's at a stage where right now he's in terms of a boxer, he's way past his prime, way past his prime, and people are now going to start using his name for a leg up. Like with the Kell Brook fight, it wasn't a leg up fight. It was a fight that was an even contest in the sense that, you know, it was two guys past their prime, two names that were once to be. But now I feel like Ben Shalom is saying Amir Khan needs to prove himself. But what is there to prove? What does why does Amir Khan have to prove that he's still a good fighter? We all know that he can't. So what's going to happen is these promoters are going to basically use Khan to basically say to him, look, fight a Florian Marku, prove to us that, you know, you still got it, that you can have a big fight and you deserve to be in those big fights. But really they're looking to use him for Florian Marku, to build up Florian Marku, because a prime Khan would absolutely obliterate Florian Marku. It's not even a fight. It wouldn't last 3 rounds, right? Amir Khan would absolutely destroy him. Like, think about what Amir Khan did to Devin Alexander. Think about what Amir Khan did to Maidana. Those guys would wipe the floor with Florian Marku. Marku's not even in the same league as those names, right? Marku's not even, like, Marku got dropped by Ryland Charlton. But the point I'm trying to make is that why is Amir Khan, like, Amir Khan's somebody that headlined Vegas. He headlined Vegas. You know, I'm not sure, where was his fight against Maidana? I'm pretty sure that was Vegas. Or if it wasn't Vegas, it was somewhere, you know. He's got headline New York. He's fought everywhere in all the biggest, you know, boxing arenas around the world. And we're talking about potentially fighting Florian Marku. Like, come on, man, that's embarrassing for someone like Amir Khan, a stellar name like that. Like, guys like Amir Khan shouldn't be like even Roy Jones, for example. I thought, like, Roy Jones was still operating at a decent level, you know, but even him, how great Roy Jones was, some of the names that he ended up losing to were like, come on, man, that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You know, Amir Khan needs to hit it on the head, in my opinion, because, like, I just feel like he's going to end up losing to guys that they wouldn't have even touched him in his prime. You know, so I personally think that, you know, Amir Khan is, if he goes back in the ring, I just think it's not safe. I think his time is come and gone. I do. I think his time has come and gone. He was once upon a time a great fighter. Once upon a time my favorite fighter. But he's no longer that guy. I didn't get no enjoyment watching the Brook fight. Even the Garcia fight, for example, the Lamont Peterson fight. These are fights that he lost, but I enjoyed it. Not enjoyed the result. I enjoyed the fight because Amir Khan was so good in those fights as well. Do you see where I'm coming from? But he's so past it right now that it becomes dangerous for his health. Now, obviously, who are we to tell Amir Khan? Amir Khan's his own guy. Amir Khan's his own man. We ain't nobody to tell Amir Khan that he shouldn't fight on. But I'm just thinking about him in the sense that his health, and most importantly, I don't want him to lose to guys that wouldn't have been able to tie his shoelaces in his prime. Because these type of names that are being spoken about, Marku wouldn't have been able to tie Amir Khan's shoelaces in his prime. Like, Amir Khan would have absolutely obliterated Florian Marku in his prime. It wouldn't even been a fight. So, like, if these are the type of names, like, what level are you stooping to? Like, why do you have, like, see, like, if he's going to fight a name like Granados or someone like that, because those guys have been in there with some decent fighters, but I just don't see what Amir Khan's got to prove. I don't see what he wants to continue fighting for. Yeah, okay, he wants to fight Brook again, but the first fight was so conclusive and so one-sided that really there was no real need for a rematch. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I think the fight flattered Brook and he's gonna continue. Amir Khan wants to continue because he doesn't want to end on that note, but I think it's gonna get worse. I actually think that if he fights someone like Marku, who knows, Marku might beat him. And I still don't know how, like, maybe Khan can beat Marku, because Marku, like I said, he's not fought anybody. We don't know how good that guy is. That guy got dropped by Ryland Charlton. Would Ryland Charlton beat Amir Khan? Probably not, you know. But again, I don't know, because Amir Khan's level to what he once was has dropped so much. Like, if Amir Khan was a lower level fighter, even in his prime, right, him fighting on now wouldn't be a problem. But it's because what people were used to seeing him at, what level he used to be at, and what level he's kind of at now, it's the difference is massive. So it's kind of like, almost like, this guy is like a shell of himself. Like, he's not even recognizable to what he was in his prime. Like, Brook is damaged. Brook, like, Amir Khan for me is shot. Brook isn't shot. Brook is damaged. Amir Khan is past it. Like, his body, he's having surgery after fights. You know, his body seems to be broken down. There's a difference. Whereas Kell Brook's got damage. He's got damage in his eye sockets. I don't think Brook is shot. I don't think Brook is a shot fighter. Brook isn't a finished fighter. You know, he could still go on, but he loses to all the top guys, or all the world level type of guys in respectable fashion. Like, Amir Khan lost to Kell Brook, who's also past his best. But like I said, Kell's not shot. He's more damaged than shot. So he can still be competitive against the top guys. And that Kell Brook beat Amir Khan easily. So what does that say about Amir Khan's level right now? Like, Conor Benn beats Amir Khan quite comfortably. And maybe even Marku. Like, and Marku's, like I said, these are names that, like, imagine if Amir Khan had fought a Florian Marku in his prime. Firstly, imagine how the fight would have gone. And imagine how much stick Khan would have got for fighting someone like that. Khan got sticked for fighting Algieri. Algieri was a former world champion. Think about it. Khan got stick for that. Algieri was a great fighter. In his prime, he was a good, not great fighter, but a very good fighter. This is a guy that beat Ruslan Prodnikov. Ruslan Prodnikov, for me, got jobbed against Timothy Bradley. You know, Algieri beat him. Do you know what I mean? So this is what I'm trying to say. Like, people are going to forget how good, like, people already forgot how good Prime Khan was. Honestly, and that's what frustrates me, is that people talk about Khan, oh, he's got a glass jaw, this, that. People forget how good Amir Khan was in his prime. And that's what happens when you go on too long. People forget, because people have short-term memories. No one wants to care about what you were so many years ago. But it feels to me like Amir Khan doesn't really care about what people think. He never has done, really, which is a good thing. But at the same time, I feel like at this point, I think a lot of people, majority of the boxing fans, even the ones that didn't really like him, you know, want the better for him and want him to retire, because they feel like I feel like, you know what? It's all right trolling somebody when they were good. You want to see them lose because you don't like them, you don't like their personality. But like, Amir Khan has fallen so much where people that didn't even like him kind of like feel sorry for him at this point, in the sense that they don't want him to continue because it's just, he's so past it. Like, it would be sad if Khan goes in there with a Florian Marku level of fighter and gets beat by somebody like that. And you think to yourself that, like, Florian Marku wasn't even good enough to like I said, it wouldn't even been that fight wouldn't have even been allowed in Khan's prime. That's how much like of a mismatch that would have been. But yet now, you know, we're talking about that level of fight. This is a guy, like I said, headline Vegas. And we're going from that to fighting Marku. Nah, like, that just doesn't sit well with me. Especially with the fact that the way Amir Khan looked against Brook is that I wouldn't be confident he beats anybody at this point. I wouldn't be confident he beats anyone at this point. On that performance against Brook, like, would you be confident? I won't be confident he beats anyone. So personally, I don't want to see him fight on at all. You know, because I think it could be dangerous. I think it could be detrimental for his health. I think also all he's going to do is damage his legacy. He can't add to it. He can't add to it. What can he add? Like, he's not going to be able to beat anybody of world level. You know, he's not going to be able to beat anybody of world level. People forget how good Prime Khan was. Because Amir Khan of the last 4 or 5 years, he's not really done a lot. Like, after Canelo, it's been downhill. And you could say prior to Canelo, you know, it was the writing was on the wall. You know, Amir Khan is a stellar name, a stellar fighter, a guy that's got a great resume. You know, I keep saying this: Olympic silver medalist, a former unified light welterweight champion. You know, he's beaten so many names: Zab Judah, Maidana, Ketelnik, Paulie, Collazo, Algieri, Julio Diaz, Barrera, you know, Alexander. The list goes on and on and on. You know, and I still think, after all those names I mentioned, I still think he underachieved. I still think he could have achieved so much more. Because at welterweight, I think he underachieved. I think he should have been able to, he should have fought some more names. I think he should have fought Garcia in his prime, should have fought Brook in his prime, should have fought all these guys. And he had the capability of beating anyone. Like, I'm not saying he would have beaten like Thurman and all these guys. No, what I'm saying is he had the capability of beating anyone. Because he had that kind of talent and ability in his prime. Let's not forget that fight with Canelo. And I felt like when Amir Khan fought for Canelo, he was on the slide at that point. But yeah, look at the performance he turned in. That was Amir Khan, for me, kind of slipping on the other side. He was on the slide. His dedication, his commitment to the sport, just as Virgil Hunter, wasn't the same. When Amir Khan performed against Alexander and Collazo, that Amir Khan would have been a problem for anybody. Because that Amir Khan wasn't just a great, he didn't just have his natural gifts and athleticism and all that, gifts, the speed, all of that, is he was a dedicated fighter at that point. Because the reason why he put in those two performances, Virgil Hunter said we had back-to-back camps. He stayed there and lived the life of a boxer. When he fought Algieri, that's when Amir Khan disappeared again, according to Virgil Hunter, and that's why the performance wasn't as great. When Amir Khan doesn't when Amir Khan doesn't put the work in the gym, generally his performances aren't that great. Like, even the Julio Diaz fight, you know, I think he had taken the loss against Danny Garcia. And was that the first fight back? I think, no, he fought Molina. But I don't think he was when Amir Khan was disciplined and he really stayed in the gym, and basically like Brook did it for Khan. You see, that fight meant a lot more to Brook than it did to Khan, because Brook firstly showed it in the fight. Secondly, Brook stayed in the gym for 7 months. Amir Khan trained for that fight just like he did for every other fight that he trained for, you know, in the last 6-7 years. Just go in, turn up a training camp, 10 weeks, train, and that's it. But that Brook was training 7 months for that. Brook dedicated everything to it. Like, that meant so much to Kell Brook. That didn't mean that didn't mean as much, like, that fight didn't mean as much to Amir Khan as it meant to Kell Brook. And that's why it showed on fight night. Also, the fact that Khan was past it, but that's beside the point. I don't even think he prepared, like, you know, like Brook did. He should have been in the gym 7 months, training hard. But I don't think he did that. And that cost him, because it hurt him in the end, you know. But again, like I said, I think Brook wanted that more than Khan did. He wanted that more. Like I said, his actions proved he wanted it more. Not just in the ring, but the way he trained for it. You know, this is a guy that was training 7 months. Brook's never been a guy that's dedicated himself 7 months. But it's because he wanted that fight so bad. He wanted to win that fight so bad. And what I don't understand is, and maybe you guys can point out, how can Amir Khan, after seeing like the way he performed, how did he not realize when he was inside that, when he was sparring, that he didn't have it, or he didn't, you know, he looked bad? I don't understand. Like, surely he would have known. Surely he would have known. You know, this is a guy that's operated at very high level. Bomac and those guys. Didn't they realize that he looked so past it? These are the things I don't quite understand. Like, it's just really frustrating because, you know, that fight meant a lot to Khan fans. It meant a lot to a lot of people attached to him, emotionally invested in him. And then to see that, like I know people that actually said, I'm going to go watch Khan. We believe in Khan. You know, I think he's got this fight. He's going to come and put, but the performance was so, like, it was so off. It was so disappointing. You know, a lot of people got upset after that. I know a lot of people that turned off, you know, of Amir Khan after that. And he doesn't deserve that in the sense that he's had a great career. But that's what happens. Because there's a lot of people that are emotionally invested in you. And that fight meant a lot to a lot of people. Forget the Crawford fight. That fight meant a lot because of the history, the rivalry. A lot of people that were emotionally invested in Amir Khan were, like, even if he had lost, but he had lost in, like, a respect, like, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, you know, you can win or lose fights. It was the way he lost. It was as if he was ill-prepared. You know, ill-prepared. And not just that, it's kind of like it doesn't seem like you had it anymore. But why were you in there when that fight meant so much? You shouldn't have been in there or taking a fight. You know, and that's the way a lot of people look at it. Like, even Ash was saying that on the live stream. He weren't too happy. But that's just like, oh man, I don't really want, look, Amir Khan's going to do what Amir Khan's going to do. If he wants to fight on. And the other thing is, it's like we're in the dark at the minute. We're hearing all this stuff from the promoters, but Amir Khan's not said anything. Amir Khan's not enjoying himself and going out and meeting with, like, celebs and all sorts. But I don't know. I don't know what his take on it is, because we've not heard him say anything yet. That he wants to continue, he wants to do this. Is it just his team talking nonsense? Is it actually he wants to continue? I don't know. We've not heard him say anything. You know, we've not heard him say anything. He's not done any interviews with any kind of boxing, you know, YouTube, like, you know, all these YouTubers, like Boxing Social, IFL TV. He's not done any interviews with them. So he hasn't really done any interview about boxing. You know, maybe he's kind of just been off of it. I don't know. Maybe he's just been enjoying himself away from all of that. And then eventually, in due course, we'll do it. But we obviously, as fans, we want to hear it from him. We don't want to hear, you know, rumors from people, rumors from Ben Shalom. We want to hear it from him to see what he wants. You know, is it true that he wants to continue fighting? Because the last interview we seen about boxing was him saying he fell out of love from the sport. For the sport, that's what he said. That's what we heard after in the Sky interview. He said, you know, in every other interview that he did with Seconds Out, with IFL, he said, I haven't got the love for the sport anymore. So that's the last interview we heard from Amir Khan. So we need to hear from him what he decides to do. Then obviously he wants to continue. You know, look, I'm a Khan fan. I'll always support him. You know, he's a guy that got me into boxing. I'll always support him. But I'm also going to give my opinion. And my opinion is, not that my opinion's worth anything, but my opinion is that I don't think he should fight on, because I think he's a million miles away from what he once was. And you never like to see a great fighter like he was in his prime diminish to the point where he's a total shell of himself. And he's almost like a punching bag. Like, that's how it felt to me in the Brook fight. It felt like he was a punching bag. And Amir Khan's too good to be going out like that. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care what people say. For me, Khan was too good a fighter to go out like that. He doesn't deserve that. You know, he doesn't, like, he's too of a stellar name, had too much of a stellar career, beaten too many good names for Amir Khan to go out like that. And I just feel like all that's going to happen now is a lot of the haters that don't like Amir Khan are going to love this, because they feel like Khan's going to lose all the time and they're going to get a field day out of this. So I really hope he does call it a day, because I don't think, like, personally, I think he shouldn't have even fought Brook. But that's another one that's happened now. You can't control, you can't redo the past. You know, it is what it is. But like, what you can do is, you know, make sure your future, you don't make the same mistakes in the future. So yeah, let's see what happens. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you think Amir Khan should be fighting on? Do you think he should be retiring? What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.